All right. Well, great. So this is the PEO Aviation Town Hall live stream. Thanks very much, everybody who's joining us today. For those who don't know me, I'm Pat Mason, and it's really a pleasure to be with you today and be able to talk a little bit with you, and also to reinforce a few of the emails that I've sent out to each and every one of you, and also answer your questions. So we do have the live stream going. We are going to answer the questions that you bring in, so please go ahead and send those in. We also have some preposition questions, or some that have already been asked, and so I will start out by answering those. But before I get to those, I just really wanted to just make a few comments about the last 4 weeks and what you have done as a team. And I will tell you, it has been truly, truly phenomenal to watch you in action and to be able to see how you have adapted to this situation. You have been incredibly persistent, and you have been resilient through this. You know, it was about 4 weeks ago that we got the Army guidance that told us what we needed to go do. And the priorities were really clear. The first thing that we needed to do was to protect the workforce, to protect you, to protect the PEO team. The second was to fight this virus. And the third was to ensure that we could still accomplish our mission. You know, but the one thing that we all knew was that to accomplish our mission, it takes each and every one of you. Because you are the core of this organization. You are what makes this organization go. And you are what delivers results every single day and ensures that we accomplish our mission and deliver for soldiers. And so when we got that guidance, we knew that we had to immediately adjust the workspaces. We had to get people out of the workspaces. We had to increase that social distancing. But we also knew that we were going to have a lot of challenges associated with that, because we were never designed to have this amount of folks that are out on telework. We knew that it would challenge our IT system. We knew that we didn't have all the bugs worked out in it. But the one thing that we did know, and that I knew, is that given how resourceful this team is, what innovation you show, that we would have to adapt to it, but we would adapt to it, we would figure it out, and we would continue to execute. And I will tell you, it has been, again, just truly amazing to watch how you have worked through all of this. Going from where we had virtually small numbers on a daily basis that were virtually connected in, we now have over 90% of the workforce that is out on telework on any given day. Over 2,500 different connections that come into the PEO virtually, whether that's through the virtual machines or through the different ways that we've figured out how to connect via VPN or Global Protect, how we've worked through the telephone conferences and DCS and the WebExes that are there and stringing iPhones together. You have figured out how to make this happen. And now, I know it hasn't been perfect, right? There's been a lot of challenges as it's gone on, and I know that you've continued to feed back into us. You've given us your feedback to let us know how this is going. And we continue to take that feedback. In fact, we just sent out an email today about the telework survey. We've got 960-ish responses back so far. I've already looked at the initial results that have come back in. We're taking your input. Our IT team that has been working so hard to create the connectivity that we need to make this successful, to make this work, is taking all that in so that we can ensure that we are adapting on a daily basis to meet your needs and to meet the needs so that we can protect you, but we can also accomplish our mission and deliver for soldiers. I will also say that I recognize how hard it is to try to do this in a virtual environment. There's just so much that's lost when you don't have that physical interaction, that meeting where you come face to face. Having that sidebar discussion in the hallway before the meeting to understand the context of what we want to talk about. Being able to look at somebody, hear what they say, and the nuance of the words, and be able to read their body language and understand that there's a shared understanding on what needs to go forth. Those are hard things to replicate in a virtual environment, especially on a telecon or through lots of different emails. But you found a way, and it really takes that over-communication, constant telecons and dialogue and emails that go back and forth, and yet you have persisted through all of that, and you've continued to deliver results. And I want to just highlight a few of those because I think it's really important when you think about what we do and how you have adjusted to this situation, and each PM in the headquarters continuing to deliver for the Army. So if you just take a look and you start out at Unmanned Aerial Systems, they just had the first soldier flight for the Tactical Unmanned Aircraft System. So soldiers took off and landed a system. That was a demonstration that's been long in planning. The team figured out how to continue that, and they're still working through all of those challenges. And that's just one example. When you look at our fixed wing office and the global presence that they have, and ensuring that they've got parts that are going across the world, and that those aircraft are cleaned properly, and that we're dealing with all the situations for a fleet that is globally dispersed, truly amazing. The FLRAA and FARA awards for Future Vertical Lift, both of those were announced. We made it through those. We've already had the kickoff meetings for FLRAA. The FARA program is doing that right now. Again, another great example of how you have adapted to what is going on. And then you look at our platform PMs, right? Apache, Utility, and Chinook. Aircraft continue to be delivered. We're determining best to support the fieldings that are out there. We're working through all the challenges that come up to make sure that we are ensuring the readiness of the fleets out there for the Army. We've also determined how to work through the training and the fielding impacts and make sure that we are going to continue and we're going to be aligned with what the Army is to go do. Just really tremendous work by those program offices being able to adapt and being able to ensure we meet the needs of the Army. If you look at AMSA, one of the questions that came in was about how are we going to do source selections. So you can go to AMSA and you can see how they figured out how to work through that. Is it easy? Is it as seamless as it happens beforehand? And I say seamless because we can all get together and we can discuss and go through a tech review together. No. But they have determined how to do that and how to execute it. And I couldn't be prouder of the entire team and how they've been able to go do that. You look at ATE and you look at the ITEP program and critical design review that's going on right now. They're trying to work through that. They are working through it, and it really is magnificent to see what they're doing. And then finally, ASPO, which again has that global presence like fixed wing, and how they have been able to ensure the parts flow and ensuring that those aircraft, all of those folks across the world, continue to be maintained and operated. I just wanted to give you a few examples of what the program offices are doing because it really shows what I've been talking about, your ability to adapt given the situation that we're in right now. And also on the headquarters coming together and working through all of the IT issues that I talked about, or even with some of the IT tools that we've rolled out and our ability to make sure that we hit our IOC date for one of the critical capabilities for PMRT. Again, the whole of the organization coming together to ensure that we could adapt, we could remain resilient, we would persist through this, we would protect each other, do our part, but continue to deliver results. And it is truly humbling to be part of this organization. And I know I speak for Colonel Berry and for Sergeant Major Sullivan as well. They had wanted to be on this, we had wanted them on this, but because of the logistics of this facility and to try to maintain the appropriate thing, we just couldn't make it happen. But I know I can say their comments and really their appreciation for what you continue to do. And I will say this won't be the first virtual town hall that we'll do. We will continue these as long as we do until we can get back together again so that we can continue to inform you. And the next one that we have, we will work out the logistics so that we can have a few more folks beyond me so that we can have a little bit more of a robust question and answer and we can talk about what's going on across the PEO. So with that, just some opening comments. I was going to turn to your questions that came in and some of them specifically. Now there's a few of them that I will talk about in general terms, but I really won't get into the details of those. But what I'll do for every single one of your questions is if I don't address it here, we'll provide either a video there or I'll provide some written comments so that you get an answer to what your question is. So the first question is really about the IT network, and then it really goes into telework and what future improvements. So I'm going to go back to that telework survey that we talked about. So Bo and his team, Bo Taylor and his team, continue to look at a number of different solutions that are out there, and I think you've already seen some of them being implemented that really open up our ability to VPN in. He's looking at another couple of solutions that are out there. We have a demo environment where we demo those to make sure that we work through all of the challenges. And so we're going to continue to roll those out as we can over the next week or two. You know, there are limitations because we need to work in a secure network environment. And so we just have to realize that that comes with the nature of the work that we do. And when I say securing our network, official information, FOU information, and what medium that comes out on. So we continue to work through those But we take all of your comments very seriously, and we are adjusting to those as we go through. And we are working on a couple of different solutions that hopefully by next week or the week after that we'll be able to roll out. From a teleworking perspective, how long do we expect this to be in place? Well, I think you all have seen the state order that's out there. You've seen the DoD guidance. It is all posted onto the PEO SharePoint homepage, the landing page in the upper left-hand side. There's a COVID-19 response tab where you click and all of the information that is there. It is your resource to go to when you want to look at any of these. We also do a daily sync every afternoon with the PMs and the headquarters to make sure that we're aligned across the organization and we understand what's going on. And I just say that because it does remain very dynamic, and we are following the guidance that comes down from the Army and from the installation. And for those who go on Facebook or to the Team Redstone, you saw General Perna's note as well. And so we are going to continue as long as we need to in order to accomplish the tasks that are laid out. And again, it's about protecting you. It's about protecting the workforce, the team that executes this mission. It's about fighting the virus, and it's about accomplishing the mission. There's another question on COVID-19 update and health protection levels, HPCon, Charlie, and Delta. I would just refer you back to the Garrison. So the Garrison has done a really great job of posting. They've been doing virtual town halls as well. When you go to their Facebook page, they keep everything updated. If you go to their homepage, they have all of the information on HPCon levels and what that means. But I also think, or I also know that if you look at General Perna's note, you see everyone who can get on the Arsenal can get on the Arsenal to come to work. But we have specified down into specific folks we want to come in to do very specific tasks that need to be done. And the key coming back into this is obviously maintaining the discipline that we need, that social distancing when you come in. And then obviously we have the recent directive that came down on the use of masks. And so while I don't have a mask on, I will tell you that the folks in the room actually do, and I've got mine with me, but we are maintaining all of our distances that we need to ensure not just that we're in compliance, but we're each doing our part and being disciplined in protecting ourselves and protecting each other. There was a question about planning and contingency planning as we go forward. And again, I won't get into the details of that in this particular forum, but I will tell you that that's a critical component to this, because all of the lessons learned from what we've experienced, we are taking into account, and we are updating all of that. And our G3 is working through all of that and taking it all, and we are doing periodic reviews so that we make sure that we have a much more robust contingency plan in the future. But certainly it has been, and I will go back to what I started with, amazing, truly amazing to look at the response of the entire team and how we have adapted to this situation. There's another question that had to do with talent management or our talent management processes and some training. So I think there's two aspects to that I really wanted to focus back in on, and I could talk for an hour on this alone, but while this is posted to take an hour, I will tell you it will not be an hour, and I will keep my response short on talent management. But this is near and dear to me, and I worked on it significantly with all of the deputies when I was a deputy PEO. And the reason is because the management of our talent, growing our future leaders, growing our expertise in the organization is, in my view, the most important thing that I did, and remains the most important thing because, as I said, you're the ones who make everything happen in this organization. And so we are still continuing to execute our talent management processes. Our chief of staff is directing a lot of that right now. When I say directing it, I'm really it's facilitating. It's facilitating it between all of the PMs and the headquarters on how we best balance what the individual needs are, the individual desires, and what we need for the organization, and how we grow our future leaders within the organization. A key component of that is the training program that we have, and the training program that we have is going to continue. So we've got a team that's working right now to actually transition the training that we had planned to start, because I was actually, and it was on the calendar that I was going to be out And at first it was going to be with the supervisors, and then we were going to extend that out. Clearly we couldn't do that, and so what I asked the team to do is figure out how to do that in a virtual means. And so a lot of the content had to be adjusted simply because it wouldn't work well if we weren't face to face. So they are doing that right now, and then we're going to get that back on the calendar, and we are going to start the supervisory training. And part of that is going to be a little bit more recognition of the future environment where we are going to do more teleworking even as we work through this challenge. And so what are those key skills and things that supervisors need to focus on? Because we really need to really give our supervisors the resources that they need. And then once we do that, we are going to go down and we're going to work that training through the entire organization. And part of that is also our talent management processes, and to make sure that you are extremely aware of what's available for you and how you can best craft your career and work through your supervisory channel. We've got another couple of questions that just have to do with future operations, our PEO, which is really an important component of moving to the future. And we've talked about it in a number of different forums with industry as well, and how that really provides us an integration environment to look at a lot of these concepts and developmental opportunities and do it in an integrated fashion. And so there's much more to discuss on that, but I will tell you that I remain focused on that, and we do have the facility up and running. And I'm going to post a little bit more of that onto the PEO portal to make sure that everybody is aware of what we're doing with that. And we're also going to communicate that out with industry. There's a number of different forums that are being set up in a virtual environment, and I look forward to those so that Colonel Barry and I can coordinate and really communicate effectively. But I will tell you that along the lines of PEO, we had a really successful what's called the ACWG, which is the Architectural Working Group, yesterday, with folks from across the aviation enterprise and folks from industry that called into it. I was on it for a good period of it. It's continuing over the next couple of days, and it's just another example of how we are continuing to execute our mission, look to the future, the development of future vertical lift, how we're going to address architecture, and how we are collaborating government to industry with academia tied into it as well. And then there was another question that came up, and I think I already addressed it earlier about source selections, and clearly not going to get into discussing any of the particulars in this forum, but we are continuing to execute those, and the teams have been doing a really good job. I will say I do understand it is more difficult to do it in a virtual environment, to be able to create the collaborative space that you need, whether that's doing a source selection or it's design work, or you're doing a tech eval, or you're trying to collaborate on any of the information that is in there. And so we do recognize that it could take a little bit longer to get that done, and that's why it's so important, back to that feedback loop with the PMs and our daily tag ups, because we are capturing all of those industry impacts or timeline impacts, and then being able to communicate those up so that we understand what we can do, what will be executed, and what we need to really take a hard look at and see if we need to apply some additional resources to it. But I will go back to saying that it really has been phenomenal, because when you look at what you all have been able to accomplish, I just remain incredibly humbled to just be part of this organization, and I am just so proud of what you have been able to do and you continue to do. I don't think we have any other online questions, at least that's what the team is telling me right now. So clearly this may have spurred some other questions that you want to ask, but maybe not in this forum. And so what I would encourage you to do is send those on up. I will continue to send out emails, and as always, if you have a particular question to me, don't hesitate to just shoot me a note as well. I am perfectly fine with that. But you can also send it up through your supervisor or collect it, and we will continue to collect those. I'm going to encourage you to fill out that telework survey, 960 so far, and hopefully some of you have already started on those if you haven't done them already, and give us your feedback, because it is absolutely vital that we have that, right? Because we are taking that and we are using that to really move forward and figure out what we need to do for you and where we need to apply the IT resources that we have to fix any issues or help improve connectivity. So I think with that, and the team has told me that no additional questions, so I was just going to provide some closing comments. And it really, if you noticed these days, whenever we end a telephone call or an email, everybody just says, stay healthy, right? The email salutation at the end of it. And I was reading a note that came the other day. It was in the email stream that I get from the VA, right? It says a veteran, and I'm signed up for those. I get them. And it was really a reminder about what staying healthy means from a total perspective, total health and total fitness. And it's really physical, mental, and spiritual. And so on the physical side, sitting at your computer all day, being on telecons, being in your home or being in a confined space, we all need to break that chain, get out, take some breaks, go out and walk, obviously maintain your social distance and do all the things you need to do on it. But it's really an important component, and I encourage all of you, take care of your physical well-being through this time. The mental side of it. There's a lot of stress and anxiety right now, and I know that, and I see it, and I hear it when I talk to folks. You're trying to balance. Many parents, both are working, your children are at home, you're trying to do online learning right now, you're trying to balance work schedules. And that's part of the reason why we have opened up and really flexible work hours, how early do you start, going later, so that we can accommodate all of that, because we know that there is stress and anxiety associated with that and trying to get through all of this. And so I just encourage you to let your supervisors know what you need to do on that work schedule and what we can do best to accommodate your unique family situation. And then obviously all of us are streaming content, or what we're doing is stay connected through FaceTime and Zoom or whatever the case may be. I'm often accused of not being much of a talker when it comes to getting on the telephone, but I got to tell you that the family time that I've been spend on Zoom with my extended family that's across the country just really has just been incredibly refreshing, and it just is great for me mentally and the emotional aspect of it. And then finally, the spiritual side, right? Our beliefs, our practices, and how that gives us hope, faith, and the meaning and purpose in our life. And particularly as we come on this weekend, this Easter weekend, and we're not going to be able to attend services, but we can do it virtually. I mean, there is so much out there that's now, and that's certainly what I do and what my family does. And it brings us together. There is still a connectedness that exists, and it is really wonderful to see that and really affirm the spirituality and just continue the faith and hope that we all have. Because while it can seem that it's dark at times, there's a heavy weight that's upon us, we know, because of our faith and the hope that we have, that we are going to come through this. And then the light will shine as we overcome this, and we will do it by all of the efforts that each one of us are taking. And that's why I'm just so proud of how this team has adapted to this. So again, I just want to thank all of you for tuning into this live stream that we've got. I encourage you to give us some feedback and let us know what you need. As I've said beforehand, I'm just so incredibly proud of what you're doing, and I have no doubt, because of who you are, that we will stay strong. We will do our part. We will work together, and we will overcome this challenge, and we will be continuing to execute for our Army. So thanks very much, everybody, to you and your families. Stay healthy and have a happy and joyous Easter, and I look forward to talking to you in the future. Thanks very much.